The European Union was the world's largest trading bloc, and when Britain joined in 1973, it gained tariff-free access to a market of around 250 million consumers. But by the early 2000s, many Britons had come to believe that the UK was paying more into the EU than it was getting back. Despite the fact that roughly 42% of British exports were still going to the EU, voters chose to leave in 2016, and that turned out to be the worst decision ever taken on the Holy Land of Britain. The impact was immediate. Businesses suddenly had to navigate customs declarations, VAT rules, certificates of origin, mountains of paperwork, and new border checks. For many small businesses, those extra barriers made trading with Europe far more expensive and complicated. Critics argue that the added friction forced thousands of businesses to close and contributed to the loss of millions of jobs over time. Several economic analyses also estimate that Britain's economy is now around 6 to 8% smaller than it would likely have been had the UK remained in the EU. Then came one global shock after another: the COVID-19 pandemic, followed by the global inflation crisis and the energy shock triggered by the war in Ukraine, pushed Britain's economy even further under pressure. By 2023, the country was in turmoil. The NHS, once held up as one of the world's greatest examples of universal healthcare, was under immense pressure. Nearly 8 million people were waiting for vital appointments or operations, exposing the scale of the crisis facing Britain's public health system. UK was labeled as the worst among all developed countries. Thousands of businesses were on the verge of being closed. Nearly 6,000 crimes were going unsolved every day. Housing crises were on its peak. The manufacturing sector was declining by every passing day. Britishers were leaving while the illegal migration went out of control, and the councils were going bankrupt one by one, and Brexit also consumed the leaders. One prime minister resigned after another, each promising to fix the country, each leaving before they could. Then, on July 4th, 2024, after 14 years of conservative rule, Britain put its faith in Keir Starmer and Labour. The result was a landslide, 411 seats, Labour's biggest majority since 1997. Britons believed in Starmer's promises. Many saw him as the leader who could finally turn the country around. But little did they know, his premiership would last just 2 years and be defined by one blunder after another.
Stability is change, and that's why it has to be our first step. That bullies and dictators cannot be allowed to push people around.
Britain is ungovernable.
Living, breathing, human, loving people that deserve respect and equality in all walks of life.
Victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, who were clearly failed by my decision.
Welcome to the Sleuthing Scams, and today we will be talking about the blunders of Starmer. It takes a lot of effort, research, and time to bring these videos for you. Kindly hit that subscribe button. We've also added our Patreon link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel and help us continue making videos like this, consider becoming a patron. Starmer's 2 years were filled with broken promises, U-turns, and bad decisions. One of Starmer's first major decisions was to scrap the winter fuel payment for millions of pensioners, a move that triggered fierce public backlash and anger within his own party. Facing mounting pressure, Starmer was forced into a U-turn. But by then, the damage had already been done. For many Britons, it was the moment they began to question whether Starmer was really as strong and decisive as they had believed. Throughout his campaign, Starmer repeatedly promised he would never raise taxes on working people. But once in office, taxes on wages in the UK rose at the highest rate in the rich world. Then came Starmer and his government's next move, a £40 billion package of tax rises, with businesses bearing the biggest burden. The impact was soon felt. Businesses began cutting costs, hiring slowed, and unemployment started to rise. He literally made finding a job impossible for fresh graduates. Then Starmer's government abolished the non-dom tax status. The move was followed by an estimated 16,000 millionaires, leaving the UK, fueling fears that Britain was becoming less attractive to wealthy investors, and all that made UK a challenging place to grow a business. Labour had also promised to solve the housing crisis, but that turned out to be another false promise, just like their promise to control the illegal immigration. Because in Starmer's tenure, there was a 13% increase in it. There were more than 110,000 asylum applications in just 1 year. But the biggest blunder was Starmer's government appointing Peter Mandelson as Britain's ambassador to Washington. Then, on September 10, 2025, Bloomberg revealed that Mandelson's ties to Jeffrey Epstein were far closer than previously known. Starmer later admitted he would never have appointed Mandelson had he known. The controversy only grew when it emerged that Mandelson had reportedly failed the vetting process but was approved anyway. Starmer was one of the few world leaders believed to have a strong working relationship with Donald Trump. Many even called him Europe's Trump whisperer. But the Iran war changed that. The two leaders drifted apart over the conflict, and Starmer lost one of his biggest political strengths, his close ties with Trump. Before long, Trump was publicly mocking Britain's military and making it clear the relationship had cooled. Donald Trump confirmed Starmer's resignation before Starmer had even announced it himself. He lost one of the last political assets keeping him afloat. His close relationship with Trump, once hailed as one of his biggest strengths. For years, Starmer attacked the conservatives over ethics, tax issues, and political scandals. But once in power, he found himself facing similar scrutiny after accepting expensive gifts for himself and his wife from Labour donors. Even Starmer's deputy, Angela Rayner, was forced to resign after being caught underpaying taxes. Then came the local elections, the final blow to what little prestige Labour had left. Both the right-wing Reform Party and the left-wing Greens stunned the political establishment, while Labour slumped to fourth place with just 17% of the vote. More than 100 of his own MPs made him resign. The man who swept into Downing Street with a landslide victory now faced a staggering 67% disapproval rating. Keir Starmer came to power as Britain's greatest hope after years of chaos. But in just 2 years, broken promises, political missteps, and public anger turned that hope into disappointment. With Starmer gone, many are already looking to former Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham as Labour's next great hope, and a possible future Prime Minister. Whether he succeeds where Starmer failed, only time will tell. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.